Chapter 1. A meeting that changed everything. Leon was driving back from yet another business meeting that, despite ending in success, left him feeling painfully empty. For months, his life had been a cycle of contracts, deadlines and luxurious boardrooms, all polished on the outside, hollow on the inside. That afternoon, he suddenly turned onto a narrow countryside road, one that wound through quiet fields glowing in the summer sun. He didn't plan it. His heart simply needed air. He drove slowly, taking in the golden fields, the small wooden fences and the distant farmhouses scattered across the horizon. Then he noticed her, a young woman struggling to lift a toppled cart filled with apples. Her hair fell loosely over her face, and despite her struggle, she wore a soft, almost playful smile, as if even small chaos couldn't shake her calm. Leon stopped the car immediately. "Need help?" he asked gently as he approached. She lifted her gaze. Her eyes were warm, honest, so honest that Leon forgot for a moment why he had come here at all. She nodded and he grabbed the cart, setting it upright again. Apples spilled across the grass, so the two of them began picking them up together. They exchanged only a few words, yet the silence wasn't awkward. It was natural, surprisingly comfortable. When they finished, she brushed her hands on her dress and looked at him with a shy smile. "Thank you. I'd have been here all day on my own." She laughed softly. "Don't mention it. I just happened to be passing by," Leon replied, though inside he felt that this meeting was anything but accidental. She introduced herself. Lena. She lived nearby and helped her parents run a small orchard. She had no idea who he was, and that, oddly enough, made something inside Leon lighten. For the first time in months, someone looked at him like he was a man, not a millionaire from magazine covers. Before he left, Lena pointed him toward a small village store where he could buy water and a snack for the road. The smile she gave him stayed in his mind long after he got into the car. As he drove away, he glanced back one last time. She was standing there, watching him leave, as if she hoped he'd return. And Leon already knew he would, much sooner than he expected. Chapter 2. 2 worlds, 1 connection. Leon returned to the village the very next day, though he kept telling himself it was just a short escape from responsibilities. But his heart knew the truth. He drove the same quiet road, slower this time, afraid he might miss even one detail of the landscape that had felt so strangely comforting. When he stopped the car near the orchard, he felt the familiar tension, a mix of hope, curiosity, and something dangerously close to longing. Lena appeared a few minutes later, carrying a wooden crate full of apples. She wore a simple outfit, a light blouse, a flowing skirt, and a sun hat that framed her face softly. When she noticed him, her eyes widened with surprise. But then the smile he remembered so vividly spread across her lips. "I thought you'd already gone back to the city," she teased, setting the crate down. "I came to check if the cart survived another day without collapsing," he replied with a playful grin. She laughed, and the sound washed over him like warmth. They walked together between the trees, talking about small things, the weather, the orchard, the upcoming harvest. For Lena, these topics were part of everyday life. For Leon, they were a breath of fresh air in a world that had long felt suffocating. She didn't ask about his job, his money, or his influence. She didn't seem to care about the things everyone else always asked him about. Instead, she listened to the way he spoke, how he noticed the colors of the sky, how he paused before answering. And Leon found himself wanting to share more than he ever had with anyone. At one point, they stopped beneath an old apple tree. Lena picked up a freshly fallen apple, brushed it with her hand, and handed it to him. "This one's sweet. I thought you might like it," she said. Leon accepted it, but instead of taking a bite, he studied her quietly. The freckles on her cheeks, the way strands of hair escaped from under her hat, the softness in her expression. He absorbed every detail, realizing how deeply peaceful he felt beside her. "You know," he said carefully, "it's different here, better, simpler." "Simple doesn't mean boring," she replied with a gentle shrug. "Sometimes people forget how much beauty there is in simple things." Her words sank into him, deeper than he expected. For so long his life had been loud, demanding, fast. Here, everything slowed, settled, made sense. The sun began to set, painting the sky in shades of gold and orange. Lena said she had to get back home. Leon walked with her to the small wooden gate. They stood there in a comfortable silence, neither wanting the moment to end. "Will you be here tomorrow?" she asked quietly. If you want me to be. Her smile grew warmer. I will. Leon returned to his car with one clear feeling pulsing through him. Something in his life was shifting, and he didn't want to stop it. Chapter 3. The Truth That Hurt. Days passed gently, each one weaving Leon and Lena a little closer together. Leon returned to the orchard daily. He helped carry crates, repaired a loose fence, and spent long evenings sitting with Lena under the old apple tree, watching the sky change colors. For the first time in years, he felt present, grounded, human. Their conversations flowed effortlessly. Sometimes they joked. Sometimes they spoke about fears they had never confessed to anyone. Leon felt as if he were peeling away layers of a life built on expectations, leaving only the real version of himself behind. And Lena, soft-spoken, steady, sincere, accepted every part of him without question. But the peace couldn't last. One afternoon, Lena stood by the wooden fence waiting for him. She wasn't smiling. Her posture was tense, her fingers curled tightly around her phone. Leon felt a cold ripple of unease run through him as he approached. Is everything okay? He asked. She didn't answer. Instead, she turned her phone toward him. On the screen was a photo of him in a tailored suit, confidently posing in front of towering glass buildings. Beneath it, a headline screamed, Leon Redwicki, youngest. Millionaire in the country disappears from media. Secret trip to countryside. Time seemed to stop. Leon swallowed hard. He knew this moment would come. But he had hoped, foolishly, that he'd have more time before reality intruded. Why didn't you tell me? Lena asked quietly. There was no anger in her voice. That made it hurt more. I wanted to be someone normal for once, he said, voice unsteady. With you, I felt like I could. I wasn't sure you'd look at me the same if you knew. Lena looked down, her breath shaky. I wasn't looking at your money, Leon. I was looking at you. But honesty matters to me more than anything. I opened my world to you, and you kept yours locked. The words struck him like a physical blow. I didn't want to lose what we had, he whispered, taking a step toward her. But she stepped back. I need time, she said softly. This is a lot. Then she turned and walked away. Not fast, not dramatically, just slowly with a heaviness that pierced him deeply. Leon stood alone by the fence, the silence around him louder than any crowd he'd ever faced. For the first time in Chapter 4, When the Heart Begins to Call. The days after their argument passed slowly, wrapped in an uneasy silence neither of them could shake. Leon tried returning to his city routine, meetings, calls, long hours surrounded by glass and metal, but everything felt hollow. His penthouse, once a symbol of success, now seemed cold and echoing. Every quiet moment pulled him back to the orchard, to Lena's soft voice and the peace she brought him without even trying. He hadn't realized how deeply she had settled into his heart until she stepped away. Lena także starała się zajmować obowiązkami. She sorted apples, cleaned the porch, tied up branches in the orchard, but everything reminded her of him. The way he laughed when she teased him, the gentle way he carried heavy crates, the warmth in his eyes. She missed not the mystery, but the man, and with every passing hour, fear blended more with longing. 3 long days crawled by, filled with restless thoughts and quiet regret. On the 4th morning, Lena walked through tall grass, carrying a woven basket. The rising sun cast a soft glow on the fields, but her thoughts remained heavy. Then she heard slow, familiar footsteps behind her. She turned, and there he was. Leon stood on the narrow dirt path, dressed simply, without any trace of the confident millionaire the articles described. He looked tired, sincere, almost vulnerable. He stopped a few steps away. Lena, if you want me to leave, I will, he said softly. But I couldn't stay away. She didn't respond, though her breath trembled. I'm not here as the man from the headlines, he continued. I'm here as someone who missed you more than he expected. Her eyes softened. I wasn't angry, she whispered. Just afraid your world has no place for someone like me. Leon shook his head gently. If my world has no place for you, then it's the wrong world. The basket slipped from her hand into the grass. She stepped toward him. Then another step. Leon remained still, patient. When she reached him, she lifted her eyes and said quietly, You came back. I always will. And in that moment, everything that divided them simply fell away. Chapter 5. Love money could never buy. For a long moment they simply stood there, the morning breeze brushing past them, the orchard behind them glowing in the soft light. Neither spoke. They didn't need to. The silence was full, warm, almost sacred. Lena felt her heartbeat finally steady, as if the peace missing these past days had quietly returned to its place. Leon was the first to breathe out, a soft, relieved exhale that seemed to release all the tension he had carried. "I didn't come here with promises of a perfect life," he said gently. "I know my world can be loud and complicated, but when I'm with you, everything feels simple in the best way." Lena looked up at him. "And my world isn't glamorous," she said. "It's work from sunrise, muddy boots, and days that look the same. I was scared you'd get bored of it. I could never get bored of something real," he replied. "And you're the realest thing that's ever happened to me." Something inside her softened completely. Leon reached out slowly, giving her time to pull back if she wanted. When she didn't, his hand cupped her cheek. His touch was warm, careful as if she was something precious he didn't want to break. Lena leaned into his palm, letting go of the fear that had kept her heart guarded. "I don't want a life that looks perfect from the outside," Leon said. "I want one that feels right from the inside. With you." Emotion rose in her chest, tight and overwhelming in the best way. "And I want you," she whispered. "Not the photos, not the headlines, just you." A smile, small but full of meaning, spread across his lips. Before she could say anything more, he pulled her gently into his arms. Not with desperation, with certainty, with the quiet confidence of someone who had finally found what he'd been searching for without even knowing it. Lena closed her eyes and melted into him. The world around them faded, the orchard, the fields, the worries they once carried. For a moment, there was nothing but the feel of his heartbeat against hers. When she finally looked up, their faces were inches apart. Leon brushed a strand of hair from her cheek and she whispered, "So what happens now?" "Now," he said softly, "we start something that belongs to us. Not to this city, not to the expectations. Just us." Then he kissed her slow, warm, full of everything they hadn't said and everything they hoped for. It wasn't the kiss of a millionaire claiming something. It was the kiss of a man choosing the woman he loved. When they pulled apart, Lena rested her forehead against his. "Love doesn't have to be complicated," she said quietly. "No," Leon agreed. "And the kind we have, no amount of money could ever buy." Hand in hand, they began walking, back toward the orchard, toward a future neither of them had planned, but both of them already knew they wanted. And somewhere between the golden fields and the rising sun, a story that started by accident became the one they would choose every single day.